evening. It's Thursday, 15th February 2024. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. On the news this evening, court adjourned suit by Chief of Staff to Rivers State Government House against police. Rivers State Police speak on wanted gang leader Tubaba. Federal, state governments begin talks on creation of state police. Organized labor in Rivers State vows to mobilize for strike. Another federal government agency to relocate to Lagos. On the foreign scene, judge fixes date for Donald Trump's first criminal trial. I am Constance Mayer. A state high court in Port Harcourt has again adjourned to 21st February hearing on the fundamental rights suit filed by the Chief of Staff to the Rivers State Government House, Edison Ehie, against the police. The trial judge, Justice S.H. Aprioku, also granted an appeal by the defendant's lawyer, Celestine Dixon, for an extension of time to enable him respond to Edison's lawyer on the preliminary objection and counter affidavit challenging the jurisdiction of the court to hear the matter. Well, lawyer to the defendant, Celestine Dixon, spoke to correspondent Emeka Otuka.
And they make a necessary response, because we are talking about the issue of fundamental human rights. And if you are talking about the court to do justice, then everything we have to be holistic. We have to look at if what has not been done right and what has been done right. We are challenging the jurisdiction of the court.
We recall that the court had on 6th February renewed and extended the interim order restraining the police from arresting, detaining and harassing Edison Ehie over his alleged involvement in the invasion of the Rivers State House of Assembly chambers until determination of the suit. As you may know, the Martin Amehule-led lawmakers petitioned the State Police Command against Edison Ehie over the invasion and burning of part of the State Assembly complex. Meanwhile, a suit filed by the dissolved APC executive led by Emeka Beke challenging their dissolution has been adjourned till 13th March for hearing. Justice C.N. Wali of a state high court in Port Harcourt adjourned the matter to enable the lawyer of the respondent, Rex Wogu, respond and serve process to all the parties in the matter. As you may know, the former state executive of the APC in Rivers State, led by Mr. Emeka Beke, had asked the court to set aside the appointment of Tony Okocha as the APC caretaker executive in Rivers State and recognize them as the proper executive of the party in the state. Well, lawyer to the respondents, Rex Wogu, spoke to correspondent Emeka Otuka after the court proceedings.
They are challenging that the resolution was illegal and the appointment of caretaker is illegal. And we are saying that the party acted in line with the party constitution. So we need to file and serve all the processes on all the parties.
Well, the lawyer to the claimants, Collins Dike, also spoke.
We are saying that no section of the Constitution of the All Progressives Congress empowers them to do that. No section of the Electoral Act 2022 allows them to do that. So we're saying that what they did is standing on no legs, as it were. That's why we're in court.
To security matters now, the Rivers State Police Command says it is still trailing gang leader David Gift, popularly known as Tubaba, the suspected killer of Aoda East DPO SP Bako Angbashim. The Deputy Commissioner of Police Operations, Olubenga Adepoju, disclosed this while handing over 420 kVA generators recovered from the hideout of the Tubaba. Well, DCP Adepoju said Tubaba and his gang seized the generators from a company operating in the area.
Hand over Pekins generator about 4 that was recovered by our men from this notorious most wanted criminal in the Rivers Command, Baba and his gang, who killed our DPO Ahoda months back. This generator was intercepted by him while going to a location for a company to be used. I intercepted the generators and was demanding about 20 million, 5 million each for each of the generators to be released to the company. And while we were on search for him, we were able to storm on the generators where he kept them, and our men tactically on the place and recover the generators.
Meanwhile, the federal government and state governors are considering the creation of state police to tackle insecurity in the country. But this was part of deliberations between President Bola Tinubu and state governors at the presidential villa in Abuja today. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, told journalists after the meeting that the process would take shape after more deliberations between stakeholders. In other news, labor union leaders in Rivers State have vowed to ensure that workers in the state state comply with any call for strike by the national body. Well, recall that the national leadership of Labour had issued a 14-day ultimatum to the federal government over the non-implementation of the various agreements reached with the union. Well, the chairman of Nigeria Labour Congress in Rivers State, Alex Agwawo, spoke with correspondent Soibi Oruwari on this.
As a council, we have no option, we have no choice than to comply. There will be full compliance at the end of the 14 days, directed by the national. Except the government did a meeting before that day, but there's a counter directive. So, both private and public sector, all our affiliates will do service after that 14 days. If there's no counter directive, we already started mobilizing as our members concerning the ultimatum.
Well, the chairman of the Trade Union Congress in the state, Ikechukwu Onyefuru, also spoke.
Labour decided to listen to them and we entered into a 15-point communique. As we speak, they have violated and released on the 15-point communique. So we don't have any reason to believe them, we don't have any reason to trust them. They have demonstrated the fact that they don't have the interest of Nigerians at heart. So we are saddened by all this, and our ultimatum stands at the end.
Away from that now, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, says there is a need for the declaration of a state of emergency in some states due to heat waves. NIMET's Director of Weather Forecast Services, Vincent Welly, in an interview on Channels Television, said a state of emergency will allow people to stay off work and also keep some people from certain extreme activities that causes excessive sweating. Meanwhile, an environmentalist, Brown Maribara, is calling on the Rivers State government to restore the Garden City status of Port Harcourt by planting trees and flowers on the streets. In an interview with our correspondent, Mr. Baribara said residents should also compliment the government's efforts to maintain a green environment.
Government should ensure they plant trees. They also plant green areas in our neighborhood. It will restore the garden city, most especially on the road, that middle partition. There used to be trees and little grasses, but these days you will not see anything like that. If the government can set the path or a plan and ask the Ministry of Urban Development to monitor this exercise for people to plant trees, flowers, grasses around their houses, those things will absorb heat. And
well, some residents also spoke on the need to design roads with grasses and trees at the median.
When government are building roads, they should try to include planting of trees. Government can also encourage the citizens to also try to plant trees in front of their house.
These days, when they construct road, we need to see that provision for where they go plant trees and flowers so that we'll get that kind of cozy environment, especially with this kind of weather we didn't know. Once you travel outside, sometimes you go see where garden go dey, middle of the road.
The weather condition now is just very hot. We need the government to actually promote planting of trees.
Still to come, another federal government agency to relocate to Lagos. Stay tuned. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission may soon relocate some of its departments to Lagos. A memo circulating online dated 14th February and signed by senior technical assistant to the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Kelechi Ofuegbu, said the decision was to enhance its service delivery, reduce operational costs, and make adequate utilization of its assets in Lagos. Well, the development comes after the recent relocation of the headquarters of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria and some departments of the CBN to Lagos. Some residents of Port Harcourt say removing subsidy from electricity will worsen the already difficult economic situation faced by citizens. They say many people may no longer be able to afford electricity. Well, the residents, however, urged the government to put coping measures in place to cushion the effect it will have on Nigerians.
You cannot remove fuel subsidy and still move on to remove electricity subsidy. Do you hate the people so much? That is an act of wickedness. They should subsidize electricity so that high tariffs wouldn't extinguish the citizens. Times are bad.
Should not remove electricity subsidy because of the hardship in this land. They should sustain it for now.
It means that the light that people probably buy at, say, about 5,000 could give you somewhere around maybe 15 to 17 units. You're going to be getting about same number of units for maybe 20,000 naira. People would not be able to afford it.
Well, recalls that the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, said Nigeria not continue to subsidize electricity, and he also called for a cost-effective tariff model. And he said that although 450 billion naira was budgeted for subsidy this year, the ministry actually needs over 2 trillion naira for subsidy. On the foreign scene, jury selection in Donald Trump's first criminal trial will begin on 25th March. The judge in his New York hush money case, Justice Juan Merchan, announced this after dismissing Trump's motion to have the case dismissed. But the case relates to allegations of hush money paid to adult film actress Stormy Daniels in 2016. Now that's the news, but before we go, let's take a look at the highlights. You heard that a state high court in Port Harcourt has adjourned a suit filed by the chief of staff to the River State government, Edison Ehie, against the police. And the River State police said they are still training the wanted gang leader, Tubaba. The federal government and state governments have begun talks on creation of state police. On the foreign scene, the first criminal trial for former U.S. President Donald Trump will begin on the 25th of March this year. The news was edited by Onyeka Chinwosu. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I am Constance Mega. Thank you so much for listening. Good evening.